This video clip describes how to use the Pythagorean Theorem. So it's 90 feet from home plate to first base in baseball. It's 90 feet from first base to second base. How far does the catcher have to throw the ball from home plate to second base? So here's home plate. Here's first base. Here's second base. So actually I should draw that down a little bit. So it's quite a bit further from home plate to second base than it is from home plate to first base or from first base to second base, but it's not twice as long. One thing we notice is there's a right angle there between those two lines. So this triangle is a right triangle. We know that this is 90 feet. This is 90 feet. Pythagorean came up with a theorem. He said that these two lengths squared added together equal the hypotenuse of this right triangle. We'll call it C. They equal that length squared. So he called it A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So in this case we know A and B, so we have 90 squared plus 90 squared equals C squared. 9 times 9 is 81, so 90 squared is 8100. So we'll add those together, we get 16,200 equals C squared. So if we take the square root of each side, then we get C equals, let's go to our calculator. So if we type in 16,200, just a sec. Okay, and then I'm sorry, we should have hit the square root function first. So I'm going to clear that, and we'll put in the second function, and then x squared. But above the x squared, you see a little square root sign. So that's the square root of whatever I put in next, 16,200. Says that it's 127. Well, for a distance to second base, 127 feet is close enough. So this distance is 127. It's 90 feet if you go straight to first base, 90 feet if you go from first to second. For the catcher to throw it, he throws at 127 feet. So that's what we call Pythagorean's theorem. It works only with triangles with a right angle. There's a 90-degree angle, and the hypotenuse, the C one, is the one across from the right angle. While I'm thinking about it, let's write that word hypotenuse that I said so you can see what it looks like. Hypotenuse. Okay, so if we're flying a kite and we let out all the string, there's 100 feet of string, and there's somebody standing directly below the kite and they're 60 feet away from us, how high is the kite? So let's draw a picture. So we're flying this kite, and there's this person 60 feet away from us, right below it. So this distance here is 60. This distance here is 100. The string on the kite is 100 feet. And we don't know this one. So we'll call it X or B or A or something. But we do know that x squared plus 60 squared equals 100 squared. Might just write my squareds a little neater. Okay, so solving that for x, let's subtract 60 squared from each side. And here's an interesting thing. 100 squared minus 60 squared is not 40 squared. So you actually have to put those into your calculator first. So x squared equals, well, 100 squared would be 1 with 4 zeros, which would be 10,000. 6 times 6 is 36, so 60 squared would be 3,600. So 10,000 minus 3,600. So I had to borrow from that. 10 minus 6 is 4, 9 minus 3 is 6, so 6,400. So x squared equals 6,400. X equals the square root of 6,400, which is 80. The square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 6,400 is 80. So we know that the kite is 80 feet above that person. The height of the kite is 80 feet. So we know the length of the string, the distance. We can find the height of the kite. So in this case, we knew the hypotenuse, and that can help us find one of the other legs. So in this case, we subtracted 60 squared from the length of the hypotenuse squared. So there's a little difference between that last one and this one. So if we have a zip line that goes down from a cliff to a flat valley floor below, the line is anchored 40 feet from the bottom of the cliff. How tall is the cliff? Here's a picture. So 40 feet away, maybe I ought to draw this a little different. Zip line's going down like this. This is 75. Vertical cliff, so it's a right angle. We don't know how tall the cliff is, but we do know that 40 squared plus x squared equals 75 squared. So we can solve for x squared. So x squared equals, and then I'll get the calculator, 75 squared is 5,625. 40 squared, 1,600. Subtract and I get 4,025. Square root of second function squared gives us the square root. 4,025 tells me 63 feet. So x squared equals 4,025. X equals 63. For height of a cliff, 63 is close enough. I can round that. How about a tile? Just a square tile like that. You want to cut it diagonally. We have a 9 inches by 9 inches, so we know that 9 squared plus 9 squared equals, should we call it C squared? So we have 81 plus 81 equals C squared. That's 162 C squared. We'll grab our calculator and we'll find the square root of 162. Second function square, whoops, I didn't hit the second function. So second function square, 162, oops, one 162 tells us 13 inches more or less, closer to 13 than it is to 12 anyways. We're going to round it. We'll call that C 13 inches. And when you're dealing with tile, you have to put a gap in between the tiles for grout anyways. So using 13 inches for that length may be good enough.